Hey guys, what up? Total Control 871. I've switched around to the forward-facing camera. I know the last couple of videos it was a little bit blurry, so I don't know, maybe this will be a little bit better. Let's see. I don't want to knock the thing over. All right. Okay. I don't know if this will be the final. See, it's not going to be the final video that I'm going to make about the court ruling. I'll definitely be discussing it well, for as long as I'm alive. And the point that I'm making is that I need to compartmentalize my mind right now. If I am an emotional wreck, I am of no good to Miss Bitters, my public defender. So I am doing my absolute best right now to pull myself together. I just got off the phone moments ago with the Department of Justice. I was not given a fair trial. Now I understand. Probably many of you are probably like, well, total control. Aren't you just saying that because you lost your case? No. Believe it or not, I never thought I'd be grateful for Judge Switzer's guilty verdicts in my past cases for the exact same thing, lane control. But if anything, and Judge Switzer was wrong in those rulings. It definitely, Judge Switzer found me guilty for both failure to keep right and impediment. And Judge Rosenberger, well, as we know, it's a split decision. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about Judge Rosenberger's ethics in just a moment. But what I'm saying is that this obviously isn't just simply a product of me just being angry that the verdict didn't go my way. It gave a lot of clarity. How can I say this? I understand that judges are different and that they preside differently. I understand that. I understand that they do a lot of things that is their own prerogative to do. But you will never ever convince me that the Title 39 statute being read aloud, a number of evidence being read aloud it was banned. I'm going to read for you, for those of you who don't know. I'm sure probably many people who subscribed maybe have checked out the statute, Title 39 414.1, and it reads, every person riding a bicycle on the road is granted all the rights and subject to all the duties of the motor vehicle driver. Now, why it was so important that I be able to read that is because Officer Devlin, in his testimony, when I questioned him, does a cyclist have all the same rights and duties to a motor driver? Officer Devlin said, well, almost, under certain circumstances. They have some of the rights. I'm sorry. I didn't read any of that in this statute. I have no idea if you're getting that or not. I didn't read any of that. Is this reversing? Are you reading this backwards? This might be backwards. I'm sorry. I'm not used to these weird phones, but I have no reason to lie to you. Almost, kind of, sort of has the same rights. That's not what the law says. I don't understand. I thought we were dealing with the law. Okay? This is why I'm so upset with Judge Rosenberger. You're talking about somebody with great alacrity he went through above and beyond to keep a great deal of my evidence sequestered and shielded from being entered into the record. He didn't want this even being read aloud in court, which means it's not going to be on the transcript. Now, granted, well, number one, I don't have any money for a transcript, and number two, even if I did, it's not going to appear there. So, you know, it's just more evidence that obviously Judge Rosenberger knew all the particulars, knew all of the evidence to be submitted, and that he had already ruled. So I definitely went into this thing already convicted. Like I say, Judge Switzer, I do believe he ruled. I believe he was as impartial and as fair as possible. He was wrong. He didn't sequester a whole bunch of evidence. With Judge Switzer, you know what? I can't help but wonder if I would have been much more successful. Judge Switzer was a lot of training wheels. In my court case with Judge Switzer, he had to stop and correct me a number of times from starting to testify in the middle of questioning a witness. I had to understand that when speaking to a witness, everything has to be in the form of a question. So like I say, there was definitely a huge learning curve with Judge Switzer. Maybe if I was as prepared as I am now with Judge Switzer, then maybe it would have been a complete victory. I can only speculate. I'm moving on to Title 39, 414.2. Every person riding a bicycle on a roadway shall ride as near to the right roadside as practicable. Exercising due care when passing a standing vehicle or one proceeding in the same direction. So again, because this was not allowed to be read aloud in court, nowhere in that does it say anything about a shoulder. It doesn't say anything at all about a curb. It doesn't say anything at all about the right side of a lane, of a traffic lane. And I did my best to make it as clear as possible to Judge Rosenberger that I fully understand that what I am doing here is I am dynamiting the static mold that prosecution is putting forth. Their prosecution's crown jewel of their thing is, what is that? I believe it's, well, I'll just finish reading it, because I think we all know what they're contingent on. When passing a standing vehicle or proceeding in the same direction, a bicycle may move left under any of the following conditions. 1, to make a left turn from a left turn lane or pocket. When I try to indicate to, I know I'm super sweating. It's hot as balls up here. This is a 3rd floor. So when I tried to make Judge Rosenberger aware that I needed to be able to access the bidirectional turning lane, explosive anger. I don't care where you are going. He doesn't care. He doesn't care where I am going. So whenever Judge Rosenberger would experience one of these outbursts, one of these angers where, you know, his head is turning red, it was a definite telltale. I'm no body language expert, just got a little bit of a... Anyway, but I might not be an expert, but I can definitely tell when somebody is becoming absolutely gripped with fear that empirical truth is starting to emerge and you are desperate to keep that down. So yes, Judge Rosenberger with his angry outbursts, he was playing angry whack-a-mole. Down, 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 truth, down, shut up, I don't care, you can't ask that. He can't answer that. A lot of that went on. Judge Rosenberger did an absolutely stellar, fantastic job being the police department's defense attorney. There was no judge present at my trial. There was just Egg Harbor Township's police defense attorney. The prosecutor, Mr. Ioferman. I'm butchering the hell out of his name. It's a very difficult Eiferman. It's a very difficult name to pronounce. I probably need to take the time to sit down and break it down syllable by syllable, integrate it into my head, but I haven't had the time to do that. Mr. Ioferman, best I can really say it for right now. Eerily silent. I think I can literally count on one hand how many times prosecution spoke. He just sat there, leaned back in the chair. Me? Oh, I don't gotta talk. Don't worry. Me and old Rosie, we already worked things out well ahead of time. Isn't that right, Rosie? Wink. Yeah. Definitely well ahead of time. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in just a minute here. I don't want to get too long. To avoid debris, drains, or other hazardous conditions on the right side of the road. I indicated the drains. There was pictures. Hold on. Just a second. Okay, I'm back. Drainage grates. Hope you can see this. Heavily damaged grates that I did manage to get these entered into evidence. The damage to this is at our intersection of Hingston Road and Tilton Road. Okay, so we got them entered into evidence. Now, I will admit something. I will admit an error that I may have made. The shots are so tight that you can't really necessarily see like road signage that would indicate their proximity. Not necessarily a deal breaker, because it got repaired very soon after my unlawful stop and ticket, which means that there's a county record of the repair in its exact location. So it's not an exact deal breaker, but hey, like I said, I'm being as fair as I can here. I'm doing my best to present to you that I'm not trying to nail myself onto a cross as the righteous cyclist that, you know what I'm saying. But my point in pointing that out is that you would have thought, because I was kind of prepared for the prosecutor to jump and say this, but he didn't again. He doesn't have to say it. He's already shown that to the judge. The evidence has already been spoken about, colluded, discussed well ahead of time. And immediately, as I was showing it to, he begrudgingly, he allowed the photographs to be put into evidence, marking them into evidence. And from the moment that I showed the very first photograph, Judge Rosenberger barked to Officer Devlin before he could utter one word. Officer Devlin, do you know where that's at? Can you tell where that's at? Officer Devlin says, no, I don't know where this is at. So again, Officer Devlin wasn't allowed to speak. Prosecution didn't speak. Eerily silent. When I questioned Officer Devlin as to whether or not damage to a drain like that could be a detriment to a cyclist. Officer Devlin, do you work for the, basically whatever county that repairs such things? Do you work for them? No, I don't. Do you have any expertise in that? No, I don't. Okay. Again, so more evidence of collusion. I'm making this video because I've been on the phone with Department of Justice. Oh God, this dude, he sounded like he was either 100 years old or, you know, just simply been at the job itself for too long. You know, he could barely speak up. Yeah, what do you want, Department of Justice? I'm sorry, sir, can you speak up? I can't. I said this is a... He spoke as if he were 99 years old and been punched in the gut, completely winded. It was very difficult talking with him. But I will say this. He did concede that I am correct that the state of New Jersey should not be instructing its cyclists to utilize lane control if they're going to bring charges against them. So in a roundabout, non-confirming way, it would seem to intimate that he was agreeing with me. Unfortunately, he said, well, no, there's nothing we can do. You just got to file an appeal. I don't have money for an appeal. Then, eerily enough, he suddenly finds a wind. That's irrelevant. I never said anything about money. You know, anytime I said to him that I am poor and destitute, irrelevant. It's got nothing to do with it. I don't care about your money. It's got nothing to do. He went on to confirm, after a great deal of back and forth, that civil rights cost money. Okay, his words. You know, if you want your rights, you're going to have to pay money for it. Pay money for it. This is the Department of Justice that's saying this now. So anybody that is poor and destitute, anybody that is impoverished, you will not be given your civil rights. I am not going to direct anybody as to what form of action they should take. But I will say this. Knowing that your civil rights and any hope of justice hinges on your level of financial security, you are lighting the final boiler on the Titanic. Okay? Full speed ahead, and you are going to have a head-on-head collision with a class war. This is going to be, you are lighting the fire underneath the pressure cooker of class warfare when you do that. When you don't have money to afford your civil rights, when you don't have money to afford a fair and impartial trial, you are lighting the final boiler on a pressure cooker for class warfare. Just something you might want to bear in mind the next time whatever happens and authorities are gathered at their podium. We urge calm in the community. And please remember, please don't take the law into your own hand. Please trust the law enforcement to be able to do what it does. Please just trust the system. Please trust the system. Is that enough for me to trust the system? Does that buy me justice? Please trust the system. You know, as I was preparing for defense in both was incarcerated. State police, those charges of terroristic threat. And what brought about that psychological trauma, that breakdown. And as I also continue to prepare for the false allegations that Jewish Family Services have brought against me, I briefly for a moment pondered, am I the very first documented case anyway? I'm sure I'm not by no means am I the first poor person to be railroaded for being poor. But should I be the first person? Should I invoke poor-fluenza? Who remembers affluenza, the affluenza team? Oh, Your Honor, so they're not used to being, it's not his fault. He doesn't really have an understanding because he's so rich. I mean, after all, he can afford me. And he got off on that. Tell me, can the poor walk free because we're poor? Now, I ultimately decided on not pursuing that defense. Part of the reason why I'm discussing it with you now. It does play a partial factor in my defense. The affluenza team was guilty of his crime. He did, he sexually assaulted, right? He raped somebody, right? He did do that. They're just simply saying that he shouldn't be held responsible because he's so rich, and rich people aren't used to being responsible. So I ultimately decided against that because, well, unlike affluenza teen, I am not guilty. I am not guilty of anything, okay? I was victimized and I was abused, and I blew the whistle on that. And that is my constitutional right to do that. And I am now being prosecuted for having done that. So it doesn't necessarily, so just like my charges don't comport, that defense doesn't completely comport either. I'm getting really long here, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Oh, wait a minute, I don't wanna, excuse me. I don't want to cheat prosecution, oh my God, out of your crown jewel. So I'm just gonna finish up here reading it. I don't want you to think that, he left out certain parts. So, to avoid debris, drains, or other hazardous conditions, it's extremely important to remember it says, or other hazardous conditions. This means that it is not a static mold. This means that it is not just simply a finite list, and that there are other hazardous conditions. Hazardous conditions that Posel v. Essex says that it's up to the cyclist to be able to make a learned decision as to what is safe, what is not. To pass a slower moving, this is point 3 now, to pass, or item 3, not point 3, but to pass a slower moving vehicle, other traffic, 5, to travel no more than 2 abreast when traffic is not impeded, but otherwise ride in a single file. Every person riding a bicycle shall ride in the same direction as vehicular traffic. Hold on, where is prosecution's crown jewel? I don't want to cheat them now. Same direction, make a left. Left turn from the lane pocket, avoid debris, hazardous conditions, pass slow moving vehicle to occupy any available to, it was number 4 that I omitted, item 4. And by the way, it depends on the printout, the items within that point 2 of 39.414, sometimes they ramble, because I've seen prosecution's crown jewel listed as number 2, but anyway. Number 4, to occupy any available lane when traveling at the same speed as other traffic. Occupy. Albert Einstein's equals MC square. I don't want to sound here like I'm just simply speaking disparagingly of Judge Rosenberger. Because Judge Rosenberger was abusing his power with great alacrity, it actually kind of impeded my ability to correctly gauge and assess his particular intellectual prowess. I don't know if Judge Rosenberger is just simply lunk-headed as he screamed and angry man, you know, I don't know if he's just simply lunk-headed like that, or if he was just simply using that as a front to deny me justice. But the point is that I didn't want to get too ethereal, too Albert Einstein-y on him, because it's a South Jersey, man. This is like a lot of people here have a little bit of a Jersey Shore. Anyway, occupy. How long do I have to be in a lane to occupy? See, this portion of it, it says absolutely nothing. And I said this too, Judge Rosenberger, Your Honor, it says nothing at all in the statute about the delineation of time. And I'm like, as I said it, I'm like, seriously, Amir, this man, you're talking about the delineation of time. Yeah, this man, it's probably more contempt rather than a lack of intelligence. He's a judge. I mean, he's obviously not an idiot, He is very learned on the law. This is just simply a man that is simply ignoring the law for reasons. So it's not like, I don't want you to come away thinking that I'm calling Judge Rosenberger stupid. I don't think he's stupid. I don't think he's ignorant. I believe that I just simply wasn't worth the added extra effort to concentrate and think on that delineation. You're on a bike. I just simply wasn't worth it in his